Welcome in to another episode of the My Two Bits Gators Football Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, joined as always by your other host, Mr. Randy. Randy, Merry Christmas. How you feeling? How's the holiday season treating you so far?
Merry Christmas, my man. Looking forward to the break, looking forward to some time off, and looking forward to going into 2025 with some momentum on multiple fronts.
Yeah, you're not kidding. We had a little Christmas come early this weekend, didn't we? Getting
Mm-hmm.
getting Mr. Will Dallas into the frame. Excuse me, I was thinking of another player. but yeah, no, great recruiting weekend in that regard, and transfer portal starting to heat up too. We'll talk about all of it, as
Yeah.
well as going through the bowl game win from the Gasparilla Bowl, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the in between. So, without further ado, it's going to be a standard agenda for us tonight because we are doing a game review, throwing a couple maybe different points because of the bowl, but overall, it's going to be a standard agenda. So, with that, we'll start out with the mission, the accuracy disclaimer, the vision, and the agenda. So, our mission is always to provide factual analysis of all things Florida Gator football. Our accuracy disclaimer is that our information will be accurate to the best of our possible ability. We will cite our sources whenever we use them, and all statistical data comes from either ESPN or stats.ncaa.org, and recruiting data comes from on3.com. So, with that, our vision, of course, is to have unfiltered conversation around the product on the field, as well as recruiting and overall coaching decisions. Our analysis will be based on review of film, and while we will express opinion, that opinion should always be based in some form of fact. We will also evaluate strategy and tactics and discuss our observation of player personnel decisions as well as on-the-field execution. So, as I stated, agenda for tonight is back to the standard, excuse me, back to the standard game pod agenda. So we will start with the home mize. We will then do a review of the offense in the chomp segment, the defense in Gator Bait, talk about our gripes from the game with our visor throw segment, talk a little recruiting in the hatchling segment, talk about the culture, state of the program culture in Pride of the Sunshine, talk about the officials in Move Back You Suck. That one's going to be fun tonight. And then we will wrap things up, give a recap of where we feel we are as a team overall. We will do the results from Keep It or Pitch It for this game, and then I'll give you the full season results, including the bowl, though I don't consider that part of the season, which is still worth mentioning. But regardless, we will talk about that and then talk about when our next pod will be from there. So, to that end, got all that out the way. Now that we got all the housekeeping done there, why don't you get us started with the home mize for tonight?
Thanks, man. I appreciate all the disclaimers. Now, what am I purchasing? No, I'm kidding. Um,
Right?
hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it might seem like a long disclaimer, but hey, this is what we do. We try and do our
Yep.
best. We try and cite what we can and give the roots as to why we do what we do. And it's all good. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Um, all right. Home eyes. I'm not cheating on you. I narrowed it down. I'm not trying to plug a specific player or two to piggyback. All I'm going to say is, as you all know, we lost AA Austin Armstrong. He is taking his talents to Houston, where he will be the head coach of that defensive unit there, getting a call to play. So while we've lost an AA, we had another AA gained, or an AA sighting in Alfonso Allen. In case those of you are
Oh, very
wondering who,
nice. Very
yeah,
nice.
in case y'all are wondering who's Alfonso Allen, well, guess what? He was the one who had the interception off the tipped pass in the third quarter. And the great thing about this is, obviously, because of the type of game, we had a lot of players sit out. We had a lot of players injured. A lot of other players came into the fold that we wouldn't normally see. And Alfonso Allen was exactly where he needed to be. Great concentration to come up with the pick. So, B, you probably remember this. I told you earlier, it seems like over the past couple of years, those 50-50 balls never went our way, right?
No, you're not wrong.
Exactly. And it seemed like this year we've gotten more 50-50 balls that I can
Yep.
remember in recent memory. So spot on for that. Okay. Next play is going to be K.D. Daniels. Okay.
Ah,
You all,
yes.
you all probably know the play already. Recovery off a botched snap to Lagway. So let's break this down. It's 4th and 1. Lagway gets really, really tight under center. So what are we thinking? QB sneak. Here's the other unique thing about this. His reaction time was so quick because when that ball went backwards, Lagway was about to put his paw on that ball, but KD just took it, went left, went straight, gone. Absolute burner. Another one of those true freshmen coming in that you're like, huh? There's another one. I'm telling you,
Yep.
this running back room is going to be just fine, B. It's going to be just fine. Especially, still, we are not missing that I will not mention. Still not missing him. Anyways,
That's right.
great talent, just not missing him. And then the last one that I'll finish out my home mize with, Mr. True Freshman again, Miles Graham, diving backwards, arms extended just underneath in coverage, saw it at the right moment for the team's third pick in the game. Great spot, trailing back, going to cover the play, turning with his head, looking, seeing the ball, getting those paws up, arms extended. I feel like going back to our good friends, almost like Stuart Scott saying release rotation splash, but it wasn't release rotation catch. I don't know, but it was just a great play. So those are my three homies. B. What do you have, my man?
I like it. I like it. I only have one of the same, actually. I picked a couple of maybe what you'd call a little bit unusual plays, but there were
Okay.
specific reasons for why I did that. I definitely agree with you that the Katie fumble Rooski there, it makes the list for sure, though. If I had four, it would have been on there for sure, but there's a couple ones that I wanted to call out. So first one, I'll start. My first one is your last one, the Miles Graham pick. What a player this kid is looking like he's going to be. He has already made just some great plays in run stopping, obviously against Ole Miss, and in pass coverage throughout the season. He's just looked really well balanced. I mean, he's a little different out there, man. And only as a freshman, he's huge. First of all, he looks bigger than Shamar James out there. The kid is giant. It's absolutely crazy, and I love seeing this, reading the QB's eyes and fading back into the zone, and then making this ridiculously athletic pick off the ball. Right? I mean, a lot of linebackers in that spot might have just swatted it down or tried to catch it and not been able to. Not Graham's like, I got this one. Really, really good stuff. Future is extremely bright at linebacker on this team, and Graham
Yes.
is probably one of the biggest reasons why. But we certainly have lots of other reasons too, which is just it's there's a lot of good things to look at right now, just in general. So anyway, on to my next one. So Lagway TD to Livingston. Now there was nothing particularly special about this play other than we finally got a touchdown, but I will. There's a couple things I want to highlight. I want to give credit where credit's due. This was an outstanding play call. I don't say that very often.
Wait, what did
But
you say?
yeah, every once in a while, Billy gets one right, and he got this one right. I said it. I meant it. Really great play call. Really great execution to get the defense to bite on the run fake and then roll out and have the red zone, visibility there to give him the time and the visibility to throw the ball to Livingston and just drops in a nice little throw into Tony for the tutty. You like that? A little alliteration there.
Oh,
So
I see what you did there.
just really solid all the way around. So I was a big fan of the play at the time. I actually said out loud, "Wow, we finally got a play call right in the red zone." Because it took us about 25 tries, but we finally got it right. So anyway, last but not least, the Bryce Thornton hit. Uh,
Oh, okay.
Man, I was a fan. Now, I'm going to say it, Major Wright would have been proud. What a huge
Yes.
hit. Yeah, absolutely. What a huge hit that didn't only end the play, but caused an incomplete pass as well on that crossing route to the receiver. Might have actually been a fumble, but not with these refs. So we'll
Oh,
cover that later. Regardless, it was perfect timing, serious power, and Bryce is just continuing to look better and better at strong safety. I am loving his development at the end of the year here because safety obviously big weakness for us this year. Really starting to see him come on, seeing Castell even come on a little bit as well, especially more in coverage, which is great. Overall, just really enjoying the pickup and safety play we've seen over the past couple of games. So really nice to see that. So with that, that will wrap up my oh my's for this game. So like I said,
nice.
little unusual, but I wanted to call that out because I really feel like Bryce has been playing well. So
Yeah.
All right, moving along. Chomp segment. Let's talk some offense or lack thereof. Um, this
Oh,
was 33 points may seem like a lot, but it really should have been a lot more. First things first, Lagway QB rating. As always, we use the NFL QB rating for him, and he was only at a 76.49. Again, anything over 100 is good, so that is not the best. I would say it's probably because of the INTs and a little bit of the yards per attempt. He was definitely a little limited in versus what can be his normal yards per attempt, but yeah, so we're looking at a 76.49. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely not his best. And then we had 5.09 yards per carry. So very solid ground game, over 5 yards per carry against a good Tulane defense. This may have been an AAC team, but their defense was good. I mean, they were not a untalented or passive unit. We talked about some of the numbers pregame, and I got some others I'll throw in here in a minute. But overall, the offense continues to do what it does under Billy, which is be bland and predictable. It is just not anything that I am excited about at all. Even with all these offensive weapons that we are bringing in, especially at receiver, I kind of sit here and go, well, wonder if we'll actually do anything to use them, because that would be nice if we did. Um, really got to see changes there, but we'll get to that more later. Even with Lagway, um, adding the element that he brings, right, with the deep ball and his presence, we really thought maybe that could potentially help the offense, even despite this, right? To talk about the players overcoming the coach. We talked about that earlier in the season. We're seeing team after team now defensively counter that deep ball threat with deep zone coverages and dropping 8 guys consistently, or just playing man, and us not being able to always get open and beat them. So when you're seeing that, it's being limited, right? And we are back to being stuck with more of an underneath throws situation and runs. Now, we did still manage 8 explosives in the pass play, um, or in the passing game, 4 in the run game. So we had 12 overall, which is great. And Lagway's still going to do Lagway things. He really looked better in the second half, of course. And, we did see some improvement there, but it's just not what it could be. It's just not, even with the talent we have right now, much less the talent we have coming in. So, best part of the offense was the run game. Talks on the positive a little here. Getting 5 yards per carry and 224 yards total on a defense coming in that was only giving up 139.7. Again, this was not a bad defense we were playing, and we got almost 100 yards more than their average allowed on the ground. Pretty impressive stuff. Both running backs and the O line, huge credit here, and I'm saying both, but really it's all three, right? You mentioned KD; he had a great stout there at the end of the game where he looked really good. And then the threat of DJ running and passing deep does help the run game, certainly, because you see them dropping 8 more and over, and giving more running lanes, putting a lighter box in, right, and things of that nature. So overall, just wanted to see more out of the vertical passing concepts as always, but a solid game in the end versus quality defensive opponent. As far as holistically speaking, definitely some gaps, definitely some issues, some red zone execution that I'm sure you might talk about, but that's the takeaway for me. Is it was solid, but it really could have been a lot better. So, all right, what you got for Chomp?
That that's good, B. I'll take it for sure. And that's the thing, people. I know I saw some message boards on Sunday and this morning talking about people, complaining, for lack of a better term, about what happened. Hey, DJ Lagway, right, threw for a record amount of yards in the Gasparilla Bowl, right at
Right, he did.
305. Okay,
Right.
great, awesome. And Trey Smack, right, 4 field goals made. Awesome, great record. Yes. Why are we complaining? Well, it's more so not a complaint. Well, I guess it could be constitutes a complaint, but it's the fact of the matter that we could be so much better.
Yep.
It's great. It's good. It's not great. It's and that's the thing that I think is crucial when you look at a program like this, to get it back to what you mentioned earlier in the season, B, to get it back to prominence, to get it back to that level of elite play.
That's right.
This is where you have to get persnickety. This is where you have to dive into the minutia to get us back to those levels, because when you are at that level, you are operating in a very efficient, fine way where all those benchmarks are being hit, right? I mean to that point.
Well said.
Right. So I think that's crucial, right? Happy for the win. Happy. I mean, come on, we're ending the season on a 4-game win streak. I mean, 8-5. It's anyways, that is what it is. Okay. So my part of Chomp, I've got some similar takes to you, right? 76-49, not the end of the world, but again, 2 picks in some sus coverage to where he didn't see. I, I think that's what it boils down to. Young freshman QB, big stage, which he has been able to handle, but in those looks, he just did not see the defender, period, coming
Yep,
across.
that's right.
So, and he's going to get better, folks. He's going
Yes,
to get
he
better.
is.
DJ still makes the difference, 100%.
Absolutely.
I do feel like it was back in deja vu's of the Tennessee game where we should have put 14 to 17 more points on the board, especially in the first half. But again, we'll leave that as it is. A segment that I'm going to call EOO, evolution of the offense. And I think this is where a signal caller helps. This is where a signal caller comes in and can really put his signature stamp on how to make all these pieces hum, right? You've got 8 magnificent cylinders, but if they cannot operate in unison, then you don't have a very powerful big block. That just is what it is. Hey,
Yep.
12 explosives, we'll take it. We were hoping for a little bit more. Again, Tulane's not a bad team, but again, what they are for the AAC and what we are from a talent loaded perspective, it was really interesting to see the line drop so much before the game, wasn't it, B?
Yeah, it really was. It really was interesting. I'm very surprised by it still.
Still very surprised. But again, maybe they thought, okay, this is going to be Ty's coming out party. We're going to be a little bit taken aback. We're not going to have our ish together. The offense is going to stutter. The defense is probably not going to play as well. Look how many starters are sitting out on defense. The Gators could find themselves into a tight game. Yeah, no, okay, whatever.
Yep.
A couple things I thought did really well. Play action of Mizell, really well.
Yep.
I love the fact that Aiden got involved so early. Oh yeah, play action to DK. DK, my man, final game, balling out, almost 100 yards. Great job, right? 96 yards and change. Another thing that worked really well, play action to Livingston. I'm sorry, B, if you sense a theme there about play action, but
Yep.
it seemed to work really, really well. Folks, the other thing that's really interesting about this game is when you look at it from a snap count and a time perspective. Okay, so snap and time. If you notice this year, we've had not a lot of snap counts that we had last year. Lesser snap counts, more explosives leads to lesser time of possession. This last year we were averaging having the ball 32, 33 minutes a game. This year we're closer to 26 and change, almost 27. This game we held the ball 38 minutes and 57 seconds. Wow.
Yeah.
And 79 plays. To be fair, I saw some 79, I saw some 80. Either way,
Either way.
a lot of plays for that point production, right? So just think about that for a second. Almost 80 snaps, or right at 80 snaps, but look at the point production compared to what we've done and what we've scored with 62 snaps, 59 snaps. Okay. So
Yep.
that was interesting. Hey, DK finished with a career high. I will say this: career high 783 yards
Yeah.
in his career, right? 18.6 yards per reception. By the way, that was top 10 of the nation. He and Badger are top 10 of the nation in yards per reception. Big call out there. Would have liked to see Badger more. It's all good. We know there's an issue downfield. No problem. It is what it is. But outside of that, again, I look at the offense in the sense of were we going to struggle? This is, believe it or not, this is kind of the game I thought we were going to have. I didn't think we were going to have it all together. I didn't think we could hang. We are capable of hanging 50, 52 in a game like this. We're just not clicking to the point where all the efficiencies are there to be able to do it. So,
Yep.
outside of that, that's all I got for Chomp, my man.
No, it's solid, man. And I agree with all your takes there. I think that's pretty spot on. You know, you said it really well at the beginning. This is good, right? It's good, and Lagway makes you better, right? But I mean, what it boils down to is I do not see this team with this offense being capable of winning at most more than 9 games next season. And that's cool and all, but what did the other 9 game winners in the SEC look like in the playoff picture? Oh yeah, they weren't
Right.
there. Now, in fairness, a couple of them probably should have been, but that's another conversation. Um, but ultimately, it's just not good enough. It's not good enough to compete at a championship at the highest level, and it's not maximizing the talent on your team. And that's maybe the most disappointing thing
There
to
you
me
go.
about it is it just feels wasted. Um, and that's difficult. But with that, let's move on. Let's talk about the other side of the ball. Let's do a little Gator bait. Get us started. Talk to me about
For
this
sure.
defense, man. What a nice day for the D.
What a nice game. And that's the other thing. I think that was a fair point you mentioned earlier. This Tulane team is not a bad team. Again, they had a
Not at
shake up
all.
at quarterback, right? We know that they were starting their third string quarterback, which was in the portal. But again, allegedly was a 5-star 3 seasons ago, and over the past couple seasons has been downgraded severely. Is it between the ears? Who knows? But guess what? They've got Mario Williams. And for those of you who don't know
Yes,
Mario
they do.
Williams, this
Yeah,
guy is a stud of a receiver. He just eclipsed 1,000 yards for the season. No Tulane wide receiver had done that. I want to
ever.
say going back almost 10 plus
No,
years,
ever. They
right?
said on the broadcast it never happened.
So it's just unreal to see um, uh, what he was able to. Mario Williams, there we go. So that was awesome to see. The only other thing I had on that was as far as what he's been able to do. Right. I think they said it was going back to it was Tulane's first 1,000-yard receiver since Ryan Grant in 2013. That's what it was. I apologize.
Oh, okay. So they did. The broadcast said ever, but that's cool.
Yeah, those in the broadcast booth that's like fourth string. I wouldn't
Yeah,
some of the things that they said I had a little bit of an issue with, right? It was almost like the officiating crew and the broadcast crew could have gone out and had drinks afterwards. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
You're
Okay.
not wrong.
I'm sorry. I'm doing Gator bait. Okay. Thompson's Thompson's QBR 23.56. I think I can count higher than that. Again, no disrespect to the kid, but he faced a very awesome and motivated front 4 or 5 there. Yards per carry 2.56. Okay,
Yep.
2.56. Not even respectable. Great job. Shamar James led the team, 5 tackles. Jordan Castell, 4 tackles. Cameron James, George Robinson, Sapp, and Foster all had 3 tackles. Here's the other thing, too. Total tackles for the team, 43 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, a total loss yardage of 14 yards. Only 1 sack. I really thought we could have gotten to him a little bit quicker, but he was a little, Weasley little guy. He
Yeah,
got
he's a
around.
little
Okay.
wiggly. He's a little
A little
wiggly.
wiggly. Fair enough. But anyways, 1 sack for 5 yards, but 3 picks, another 3 pick game for this defense. One on a flea flicker that was hit short, and the reason why he hit it short was because he got hit as he was throwing. Of course, the tip pass, and then Mr. Graham with the incredible reverse interception there. So that was just phenomenal. Um, the other thing about this team on this defensive side of the ball is obviously we're playing with a few of the guys up on the front line with Caleb Banks, but I tell you what, the job that they did to contain and just limit some of the explosive plays. And what I mean by that is, and that's why I mentioned Mario Williams earlier, because again, 6 receptions, 91 yards. His longest, his most explosive, 22 yards. And that was on the play that he eclipsed the 1,000 yards. Outside of that,
Hmm.
their other receiver, Alex Ballman, right? 2 receptions out of 5 targets, 17 yards. Dante Fleming, 1 reception, 13 yards. Clayton Johnson, 1 reception, 4 yards. Okay. On the rushing side of the football, Mekhi Hughes, 8 attempts, 29 yards. Clayton Johnson, 5 attempts, 16 yards. Ty Thompson, 9 attempts, 26 yards. That's it. Like, that's it. This
Yep.
defense did a great job in contain. When you took a total yards overall, I had Tulane going for 194 yards. So that's it. A couple other things I'm going to call out as far as what they did really well. Coverage. I will call out. I know we've been a little tough on him this season. Jordan Castell.
Yep.
This one specific play I'll call out is the safety blitz to sack Thompson late in the first quarter. Jordan's had an issue with positioning this year, and he's had an issue with tackling. Well, guess what? On that play, didn't have an issue with either one. Went to the
Yep.
ball, great instinct, didn't buy the fake, got to his man, solid tackle. Great job there. And that's the other thing too. This Tulane had the ability to give up some explosive plays. They obviously missed two passes deep that could have led to explosive plays, much less a touchdown. But thank goodness they missed them. And outside of that, I didn't see our defense miss too much outside of those two
No.
plays that they had deeper passes that were missed. And the last two things I'll touch on is Dez on 3rd and 1. On 3rd and 1, and I can't take credit for this. I would love to, but all I'm gonna say is Dez picking up Ty Thompson and turning him into Simba from the
Yeah,
Lion King,
that's
and
right.
and showing him to all of Raymond James Stadium before placing him down. He didn't throw him down; he placed him down. Good on you for that, Dez. But either way,
Yes.
it's great to see when the defense plays like this. It's great to see when there's complementary football, especially with the way the defense started the year. It's great to see them close the year like this, be so dominant. I wish we could have gotten the shutout, but either way, a solid all-round performance, B.
Yeah, no, well said. A lot of good points there. Love the Des. Man, the internet loves Des. He
Oh
will
yeah.
he will be missed online for sure. I imagine he will get drafted somewhere, but I don't know how much he's going to see the field, especially not that weight. But
Well, he's
regardless,
gonna go play with Vita Vea, and so between he and Vita Vea, it's
there
over.
you go. Maybe old Mr. Wilfork. Um,
Oh
you know,
hey, hey.
yeah, he's a big boy also, but still none of them as big as Dez. But anyway, all right. So yeah, so you did a nice breakdown there. Kind of talked about things that we saw. Really, really nice day from the defense. I'll say possibly the best all-around performance, right? Start to finish, front to back, well-rounded at every position. It might be the best all-around performance we've seen by the defense all season. Not necessarily the most dominant, even though we didn't allow a lot of yards. Um, but I just felt like they were just really solid. There was nothing that wasn't solid out there on this weekend, and maybe it's because I'm starting to get used to seeing the defense play this way that I'm not more like amped about it. I'm definitely fired up, but like I was real fired up when we first turned the corner, and now it's kind of like, oh yeah, they're doing their thing again. Good. It's which is what I want it to be, believe me, but ultimately, we had limited expectations for what this team could do offensively with Thompson at quarterback. That was obviously well justified. He definitely did not look good, but the defense still delivered exceptionally in basically every facet, right? You mentioned it. Good tackling, good coverage, great awareness to force the turnovers, and good pressure consistently on the QB. Now, we may have only gotten one sack, but we were living in that backfield. We were all over him time and time again. He just kept escaping, as you said. He's a bit wiry. So he definitely gave us a little trouble there, as mobile quarterbacks have historically for us. Gap discipline wasn't perfect. It could have been a little better there, but I think that was where you saw the missing elements of Caleb and Cam Jackson not playing in this game that would have really made a difference there. So a little disappointed in that, and letting him get out and escape a few times. But hey, it is what it is, and we still did a very good job against him. So I just mentioned it. Remarkably, they played this well, missing key pieces all over the field, right? We know about the secondary being decimated with injuries for weeks now, right? But we've also lost Pup in the last few games, right? So there's a linebacker down, right? And then, of course, as I just mentioned on the D line, two of your starters not in this game either. So hats off, because that's really impressive to be able to play this complete and all around game and have this many guys that were not starters at the beginning of the season in there. Now, credit to them, they've risen up and they've become, I think, potential starters. But nonetheless, it really was impressive to see. I will also say I liked the scheme better in this game as well. So little hats off to Roberts here. Maybe we can start calling him Big Papa Ron again. I don't know. Maybe we
Oh,
got we might have
oh,
the chance to. We might
oh.
have the chance to.
Okay.
We did
Okay.
not just let them have underneath throws in this game. They were consistently running that shallow cross, right? And it worked a couple of times because Mario Williams is Mario Williams, and he just made people look like they were out of position when they weren't. Very impressive stuff by him. But overall, there was still coverage. There was an accounting for it, right? That was the pattern that Thornton blew up, right, with the hit I talked about earlier, right?
Yes.
We were not just giving up the 3 to 7 yard throws that I've seen this defense do time and time and time again since really the start of the season, but especially in the last few games when the rest of things got better. That did not. Well, it did in this game, and that was really, really good to see. So impressive stuff. This is the defense I wanted from the start of the year. Now the coaches have to make sure this is what we get game one next season. And that's going to be critical because if we get this game one next season,
oh baby,
and beyond, obviously, we're going to be a tough team to beat, even regardless of what goes on offensively. I may have to retract my 9-game tops prediction if we see this kind of defense. This was impressive. This was impressive stuff. So, all right, moving along. Let's go visor throw. My first visor throw is verbatim of the one that I did the last time we did a visor throw, which is we are not going to fire Billy, but we need to fire his play calling. We needed an OC before this year. We better get one for next year. Hire a damn OC already. Please, you've now got an opening on the roster for it from the coaching staff standpoint, right? The staff position is available. Just do it. Okay. The other thing that hiring an OC would be good for is the thing that maybe drives me. It's in my top 2 of driving me most crazy about watching Billy call plays. And that is not changing the play call based on what the defense is showing you. Now, I know Lagway is young, but even with Mertz, we did this, and Mertz certainly had the ability to audible plays. We don't change them. We look at an 8-man box, and we run right into it. I know it still worked for us at times. I understand that, but it's not the percentage play. It just isn't. Don't run into a loaded box. Also, don't pass into a 6-man box. If they're going to keep throwing that at you, just keep running the ball down their throats. Don't pass into it. Why would you play into the defense's hands as far as what they're lining up against you with? If they're going to give you a light box, run the ball. We're good at doing it anyway, right? So why wouldn't we do it literally every single time? I mean, there could be limited exception. You might throw a screen into that, right? You might do either a bubble screen or a tunnel screen or even a running back screen, which we never do. But, don't run where it doesn't make sense. Don't pass where it doesn't make sense. I didn't see like a ton of examples of this during this game, but I mean, I did and I didn't, right? When they had 6-man boxes a lot and dropped 8 into coverage after that and DJ threw picks, why were we even throwing the ball? Run the ball. Just run it. Do what makes sense. We don't often, and it's mind-numbingly frustrating at times. So that's all I got for visor throw. It's not anything too bad or anything, certainly nothing unexpected. What are you looking at for visor throw?
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. I think I agree with what you're saying. I don't have any issue there. I'm gonna chalk it up to. I'm gonna peel mine back to red zone scoring.
Yeah,
So,
it's a good one.
if you look at the numbers, like, oh, but we went 5 for 6 in red zone. Yeah. And Trey Smack did great. Yeah. But here's the thing, when you're trading 6 points for 3 points, is that really a good thing? Right. So again, glad that Trey went 4 for 4. No disrespect there. But at the end of the day, we left at least 14 to 21 more points on the board.
Yep.
To know that you can get down into the red zone with that talent only tells you the obvious or the common denominator, what we brought up consistently this season. I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough.
Downfield passing, again, DK had some great catches. Aiden, see Mizell in the game that early, getting a couple of deeper looks from 18 and 23 yards out. Awesome. My man, Elijah, we didn't see Mr. Badger at all. At all. And not to mention on a couple of suspect coverage plays, pressure plays, we could have had the ball downfield, but again, it did not go that way. So that was what it was. Again, we've already beat the dead horse. Not gonna continue. Tulane giving up giving up a touchdown. I get it. Williams had a sick double move. It was awesome. He did the move right there at roughly the 7-ish yard line, turned, pivoted, and into the end
Yeah, it was
zone.
nasty. It was
It
nasty.
was. It was. But with 30 seconds to go, really wanted to see it. I get it. We had 3s and 4s in, but really wanted to see a shutout. And not to mention the 2-point conversion to add insult to injury. I was like, come on, really? Are we going to give him
Best
8?
best throw Ty Thompson made all day on that 2-point conversion.
No doubt. 100%. I'll give that credit where credit's due. But at the same time, come on, guys. Just that killer instinct, to just seal it, sign it, seal it. Anyways, so that is what it is. And then I'm gonna call out the 2 timeouts. The 2 timeouts
Yes.
for the play cock, the play mishap, play call, and then 10 men on the field. Come on. I get it. We got some backups. We got some 2s and 3s in the game. I get it. It's not a quote unquote normal situation, but things like this at this stage of the game should not be in question. And I'll leave it at that.
Well said. Well said. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. Let's talk a little recruiting, little hatchlings here. Again, great things as we already talked about to report. Multiple transfers have signed over the weekend, and of course, Mr. Dallas Wilson, as already mentioned, huge get. I think you've got some more pertinent information on him as well as some of these others, but I'll just list them off here. Also signed wide receiver Sturdivant from UCLA. Quarterback Deshaun Purdy from Charlotte, who, though was not highly recruited, has played quite well and should be a very serviceable backup to bring in for Mr. Lagway. I'm very happy to see that. And we also got edge rusher Kofi Asari from UMass. Really, really good-looking kid here. A lot of people I've heard rumors talking about how, always from UMass, who cares? Well, I'll tell you who cares. You know where Jared Verse played before Florida State? Albany. Last I checked, Albany's promise as a program is not what you'd call high level, right?
Mm-hmm.
UMass is probably better than Albany. And yet we're going to dog out the kid because he's coming from UMass? No. Look at George Gumps. Came from Northern Illinois.
Ayo.
There's definitely promise in some of these players. And I'll give this staff credit. I've given them credit time and time again. They're excellent at identifying talent. So, hey, if they wanted him, there's probably a reason why, and I'll wait and see what he looks like. So that's all I got. Just listing these guys off and talking a little about that beef I had about the UMass thing. But fill us in. What do you got for hatchlings?
For sure, and that's well said. Well said, and that's the thing about talent. Sometimes, I mean, we know this, right? We know this because of history. Look at how many 5 stars, first round picks, top 10 picks that have gone bust, and you find a diamond in the rough. You're like, what happened to this guy?
Right.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
So check this out, B. Right now we're at 26 commits. And we've signed 4 transfers so far on that 2025 class. The other thing I want to say is a lot of people are saying, oh, we've had 19 people leave the program. This is terrible. Keep it in perspective, people. Of those 19, 12 are on scholarship. Just look at it that way. 19, 12 on scholarship. A lot of walk-ons, preferred walk-ons. I get it. And then outside of that, don't forget, we're trimming a roster. We don't know when it's coming. We're trimming a roster from 131 to 105.
That's right. That's a really good point.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Exactly. So let me go through some of these here, B, real quick as best I can. Dallas Wilson officially signed. Huge flip from Oregon, citing an ill family member wanting to be closer to home, which is Tampa. He played over there at Tampa Bay Tech High School. I love seeing him at the bowl game, dabbed up Lagway going into the tunnel.
Yep.
And he was at the basketball game.
Yes, he was.
When Florida decimated North Florida. Very interesting. And folks, in case you're keeping track, yes, this is our first 5-star. Again, depending on what happens with Vernell's re-rank, this is our first 5-star Stein for the 2025 class.
And per on three, a little side note that I saw right before we started recording, that we now have the number 2 and the number 9 receiver in this class.
Bingo. To that point, let me give you a little fun fact that one of our statisticians found, aka my son. Wilson is the sixth highest rated wide receiver to sign with Florida in history. Let me read you the list. 2006 five-star Percy Harvin scored a .999.
Yeah,
2000
he was kind of good.
Kinda. Yeah, kinda. 2003, Andre Caldwell scored a .996. 2009, Andre DeBose scored a .9917. 2003, Chad Jackson scored a .9904. 2007, five-star Deontay Thompson scored a .9872. And this 2025 five-star Dallas Wilson scored out a .9859.
Love it. And to the point that you made earlier, right?
Yeah,
And I'm certainly not saying this about Dallas because I think one, recruiting's gotten a little better than it used to be in
yeah,
identifying some of these guys. But you mentioned two names on that list, DeBose and
yes.
who was the one after DeBose? I already forgot.
Chad Jackson.
Chad Jackson. Two guys I know most Florida fans will not even remember,
No.
right? I remember him barely. I remember DeBose for return he had. Um, as we looked up, the last kick return for a touch
Yes.
or last return for a touchdown was Andre, and but he was heralded as being the next Percy Harvin. Oh, he's so fast, he's going to do this, and then he comes in his first year, he gets hurt, and he's not the same player. He is
Yep.
just not. So these things happen. These things happen, right? They don't always come together. That's why you want to stack high end talent because you don't know that they're all going to hit, right? They won't all hit straight up. But again, this staff has done as good a job as anybody I've seen at identifying talent and really bringing in guys that can play. So hats off to them. Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
Agreed. Yeah, no, great point. Great point. And that's spot on, B. Spot on. The next one that I'll highlight is Cameron Kosman. Again, those of you probably scratching your heads as your screen tries to load. The wheel's just spinning. Uh, 6'6", 242 pounds. I like 6'6", 242. Good size. He's a product out of Chesterfield, okay, out of Missouri. He was committed to Penn State, has been committed to Penn State for a couple of months. Gators were intrigued by his size and frame. They herald him as having high upside potential. He's a great prospect at the position. He's smart, and a lot of sources calling him a money ball, under recruited player. A lot of excitement about the fact that he's got great hands. He's got great size and ability. So with that 6'6", 240, you know he can block. You know he can throw his body weight around. So that's great. He had a total of 13 offers. And the one thing that I thought was really cool in his statement, he said he's super grateful for the offer extended and Florida's belief in him. And he said his favorite things about Florida are definitely the coaching staff, the ability to play ball at a high level, and academics at a high level. So
Nice.
that's great. Okay, so that's Cameron Kosman. Next up, J. Michael Sturdivant, the flip from UCLA, 6'3", 205-pound wide receiver, totaled 123 receptions, 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns in 3 seasons. All right, he hit the portal on December 10th. He originally was recruited to the California Bears as a 4-star. Right now, he's a 3-star in the portal. He has 1 eligibility left. Outside of what else he's got going on, the main commonality, hey, UCLA was a Jumpman school, and he's going from Jumpman to Jumpman. So that's going to be familiar there. But outside of that, look at this, folks. Look at the wide receiver room. You know we're getting Trey back. So Trey, Vernell Brown, 25 class. Dallas Wilson, 25 class. Aiden Mizell, currently here. Tank Hawkins. Nashawn Montgomery, 25 class. J. Michael Sturdivant. What? All of our receivers are 5-star and 4-star respectively.
Yep.
Good
Yep.
luck.
Yep.
Good luck, right? Next one I'll call out. Tommy Doman, the punter from Michigan. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. Over the course of his career, he's averaged 43.4 yards per punt, 34 is 103 attempts down inside the 20-yard line. 22 punts over 50 yards, and a career long of 71 yards. We're losing Crawshaw, of course, because of eligibility, and Nicholas Inglis is a second-year walk-on, right? We've got Hayden Craig coming in 2025, but outside of that, Tommy Doman actually made Michigan a better punting team, moved them up in the national stats about 10 places, and increased their punting average by almost 4 yards per punt. Great job, Tommy. Glad to have you here at Florida. And again, hey, Michigan, Jumpman school, Florida, Jumpman, jumping from school to school. That's not change. Okay, awesome. Last one, Deshaun Purdy, the transfer from Charlotte. I agree with what you said about him. True freshman in 24. Okay, he was a 6'4", 220 pounds, threw for 1,800 yards and 10 touchdowns. I'm like, 1,810? That's not. Oh, wait a minute. He was splitting time as the starter. Interesting.
Yep.
A 3-star out of Milford Mill Academy, Baltimore, Maryland. As we know, great talent up there. He'll more than likely become the immediate backup to Lagway in 2025 as Trammell comes in. Trammell Jones out of Mandarin comes in 2025. We'll see what happens with Aiden. Aiden Warner might go to the scout team, or he might be that fourth backup. And then outside of that, Clay Millen, he might just stay here and graduate, kind of like Jack Miller did. But outside of that, the wide receiver room is nice and full. The running back room is full, and the quarterback room seems to be in good hands, B. And then the last one I'll call out, Kofi Osari out of UMass. I agree with you. This is going to be another one that's going to be what I call a value buy, right? 6'5", 215, 220 pounds, 3-star out of Worcester, Massachusetts. Worcester, right? Or you say Worcester. It's like wash your sister sauce, whatever they call it.
I think it's supposed to be Worcester.
It probably is. It probably is. And you can go pack your car somewhere else.
In the yard. You park it in the yard.
There you go. If all goes as planned, he's more than likely going to be taking on the jack role under outside linebackers coach Mike Peterson. One of the Gators are accompanying his role too, George Gums. Yes, who obviously made a strong impact this year. So to see what Asari has as far as the build, the speed, and the quickness, if we can get another George Gums to come in here, that'd be great. He said the school facilities are fantastic. The SEC puts out like no other, and not to mention the weather is really nice. Yeah, I bet.
Shovel sunshine, baby.
Bingo. 2024 stats, 10 games, 23 total tackles, 10 solo, 5.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 1 pass breakup, 1 forced fumble, and yes, he did recover that forced fumble, a 3-star coming out. And that, I'm sorry for the extended version, but that's all I got for the hatchlings and recruiting, my man.
No, it's great. I love it. Good breakdown. Nice stuff there. And I'm not going to give you a break, though, because I'm going to have you lead off with Pride of the Sunshine. What do we got? Talk to me on culture.
Definitely. I tell you what, the 22nd meeting, for most of you who don't know, Tulane was actually a charter member of the SEC. Yeah, welcome back. UF leads the series, right? 14-6-2. UF won the last 12 meetings. Tulane's last win, 1946. There you go. A lot of great things in this game. The first TD to Livingston, that was a design play call to get it to Livingston, a Tampa native. He had a lot of family and friends there. Great to see Tony Livingston show out in this game, catch some great balls, do some great things. So that was awesome. The celebration and to see the hype around Des Watson as running back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, baby.
Let me rephrase it. The Hawk package. Okay, people? The Hawk package.
They need to call it the Hulk package. Forget the Hawk.
Yeah, right. Named after his high school, but awesome props to Billy for installing that this past week, and to see Big Dez get some more love. I'm telling you, what a guy. Marco Rubio. Okay, again, why is that so important? A senior, a walk-on, scores a touchdown in his last game, right? It's really interesting because the way that they celebrate at the end, that reminded me of Cormani McLean's pick 6.
Yep.
If you remember that game against Kentucky. He took it back. The entire team just went and love bombed him on the end zone. And guess what? The entire team went over and love bombed Rubio in the end zone. And that's when you just kind of shake your head in a good way and go, man, they just They get it. He gets it. Napier gets it. DK's comments. I'm not sure if you heard DK's comments at the press at the end about Napier. And the fact of the matter is, when thinking about playing in this game, he wouldn't have had it any other way. He wanted to come out. He wanted to come out and compete and finish the right way with his guys. I'm telling you, DK, great transfer, great player, greater human being. He is one of those people that bought into the culture, bought into Napier's vision. Obviously, it helped that he had a familiar face in Graham. But I tell you what, as we are seeing a lot of these players come out and speak and do certain things for Gator Nation, I mean, even with Big Dez, arguably his size may have held him back when we're looking at substituting bodies on that line. But I tell you what, hearing him speak in that presser and talking about Coach Napier installing the play and talking about what that meant, he gets it. And again, we have to put the, if anything, and again, be going back to earlier this season, we talked about teams having an identity. We didn't know what this team's identity was. You know, we definitely did some things to establish an identity, maybe in grit, maybe in toughness, maybe in certain things. But the biggest thing from an identity standpoint that I think we can stamp on it is going to be the C word. It's going to be culture. And
Yep.
it's shown through and through and through on the sideline, all these guys, how hyped they were about the reserves coming in. I mean, look at Badger. Badger barely got the ball. Badger didn't get the ball in this game, but yet he's over there. He's hyping up Livingston. Okay, he's hyping up Mizell. He's hyping up DK. And that's the kind of program that I think that's built. So from Pride of the Sunshine standpoint, this team has got some great, just humanistic and great character qualities about them that I hope will continue with this program.
Love it. Love it. Love how passionate you are about this topic. It's really, really become quite a cool thing to talk about. I'm really glad that we centered in on it early on as something we wanted to talk about just in general, but it turns out to really be a cool story to talk about this group and culture in general and the things that we're seeing built. So couldn't agree more. Continues to be one of the biggest defining points of this group. You just said it, right? It's a very big part of their identity. And as I have said before, this team is going to hold a special place for me in the lore of Florida football, if you will, right? Regardless of the record, no matter who was on the field, regardless of injury, this team just went out and fought their butts off every single game. And it's just really impressive to see that and say that. I know we say it every week that we talk about the team on the field, but it's impressive to see. They are, continue to play for each other, with each other, and just do not ever not seemingly put forth maximum effort, which is just really cool to see, especially in the college ranks. So when you look at this group and what they had to overcome, right, with the start they had to the season, despite having raised expectations for this year, and then they fell very flat to start, right? That's tough in and of itself. And then you add in all the noise around the program in regards to the coach, justified though I may think it was, it's still difficult to deal with as players, right? It's a lot of noise. It's nothing short of amazing that they were able to stay together and bring about a much better end to the season than the start, right? It just can't be overstated in my mind. It's absolutely a key piece of building a championship team. And this team may not have been that, but it still showed the spirit of it regardless of the record. And that's what's really cool to see. You just made mention of it. I do want to see this continue going forward. It's really important that we have this kind of mindset and build up, right? Make up as a team overall. And I think that's something that Billy's done an outstanding job of instilling. You hear players and recruits go talk about, the reason they decided to come here partially, if not more than partially, is because they worry about developing you as a person, not just a player. It means something to people, right? And they mean it very sincerely. Gatormade is the real deal. So just seeing that and knowing what it potentially means for the future, having seen it this season and all that it brought, really at the end of the year here, it's just great stuff. And I'm going to keep singing the praises of that just as much as I keep harping on the issues I have with the offense. It's two sides of the same coin in this case, but and they're very opposed at the moment in my mind. But nonetheless, it's still really, really positive, and I love it. So with that, let's move on and talk some officiating. Oh boy.
Oh boy, here we go.
Little move back, you suck. And boy, did these refs suck. Were, I don't even know where to begin, to be honest with you. They were horrible. Absolutely horrible. Some of the worst I've seen in a really, really long time. Missed multiple calls on Tulane, but seemed to flag Florida for everything, even whether it was justified or not. Um, it, Tons of penalties called on the Gators, and the disparagement was crazy. It was 9 penalties to 3, and one of those was procedural, right? They like had to flag it because it was a false start. So
Yeah.
2 penalties, two basically, that they didn't have to call, right? Because again, that one is forced to 9. That is a ridiculous disparagement in the way you're flagging the football game on one side of the field to the other. It's just ridiculous. And I'm sorry, but the discipline, quote unquote, issues or whatever that are being talked about after this game, oh, too many penalties. Yeah, well, maybe to an extent, but also this was just horrible officiating. The biggest things I have to call out, by far, the most egregious were missed holds on Florida on QB pressures and sometimes on running plays. Multiple holds, shirts full of jersey, no flag. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing. They were blatant. They were right out in the open, visible to me with the naked eye watching the game on TV. I didn't even have to rewind. It was blatant in multiple circumstances, not called. Don't understand why. And then there's the lack of pass interference. And this one, as you know, is a hot button for me. But this was by far the worst example I have seen. The two that really stand out where you mentioned not seeing Badger. Well, part of the reason you didn't see Badger is he should have had a touchdown, but he was cut off on his route, completely
Yes.
interfered with in terms of his ability to run the route. No play on the ball was made by the corner. We'll just let him play. What? You can't just let him play in that scenario. Blatant pass interference. But the worst one, the creme de la creme, was the opening drive. I believe it was the opening drive, opening or second drive. Deep ball on the deep post to DK, like all the D's there. Absolutely holding on the corner. Watched him grab a fistful of jersey, and the official is looking right at the play. No flag. I was dumbfounded. I could not believe it. What are we doing? So I've talked about all year being worried that this would affect the outcome of a game. And again, it didn't in this case, but it did affect the scoreboard. It absolutely affected the scoreboard, and that's effectively the same thing. So in this case, there's no question that they absolutely removed at least 2 touchdowns from Florida in my mind. Whether or not those plays would have resulted in touchdowns, I don't know, but would have put us, in the red zone, certainly, probably inside the 10, and with tons of momentum coming off the big play, which is usually how you end up getting scores in that situation fairly easily. So I am convinced they took at least 14 points off the board with their horrific lack of calls. And that is just flat out ridiculously unacceptable. It's beyond unacceptable, honestly. And I'm not here for it. There needs to honestly be ramifications. I'd like to see them fined. I'm not kidding. It was terrible. I'm done. What you got?
And you are more than justified, my friend. I guess they told this crew, hey, Florida's heavily favored. Tulane's got their third string is the starter.
Yeah,
Make it fair, right?
yeah.
That's basically what I got. They didn't for
What
the
it looked like.
Gaspy Bowl, they didn't want to see 56-3, right? So um
I guess.
you're not wrong. I mean, I had the same thing be 3 for 33 yards, one procedural. So to your point, had to be called. Outside of that, Florida 9 for 95. I'm going to take away the excessive celebration, unsportsmanlike on
Yeah, that's
Rubio's
fair.
touchdown at the end there. Okay,
That's fair.
let me take that off. So that's 8 for 80. Okay, let me give you a quick rundown. Florida this year is top 30 when it comes to least penalties per game at about 5.73 per game. Okay.
Yep.
5.73 per game, okay, and just under 72 yards. And We're still at 8 for 80 minus that the 15-yarder and the excessive celebration for Rubio's touchdown. Unreal. It's funny, yeah. I was going to make the comment earlier about the reason why I didn't see Badger is because he was being picked on a play. Yeah,
That's right.
I basically call that the pick play because that's what it looked like to me, right? Yeah, he got cut off, but at the end of the day, it was unbelievable to me that they let a lot of that stuff go. But
Yeah.
again, maybe it was their way of calling it. Maybe, oh well, he's too far downfield. It had no impact on the play. Okay, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That and
Whatever's
then
right.
and not to mention on DJ's second INT, I get it. That safety came across the end zone, came across shallow. DJ didn't see him. But I would argue right behind that play, coming across as DK was coming across and Badger was coming across, I'm pretty sure I saw a handful of jersey, a Tulane player's handful of jersey there, holding both of those players up. Just saying. But either way,
Yep.
hopefully it didn't affect it did not affect the outcome. We were supposed to win. We did win. But yes, it did affect some of those points coming on the board. But either way, hopefully we don't have to run into a crew like that again because hopefully next year we will not be playing in the Gasparilla Bowl. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well said. All right, let's move on. Head to the wrap up here. Give me your thoughts on the team here as we close out the 2024 season as a whole. As I mentioned before, I do not consider a bowl game a regular season game, so I'm not going to refer to it that way because I wouldn't do it if we lost it, so I'm not going to do it if we win it. But yeah, give me your thoughts. Where are you at?
Here's the thing. The bowl game is different. There are exceptions. The bowl game is the postseason. But again, if we were playing for the CFP, those bowl games count different. They
Well,
feel
that's
different,
fair. That's fair.
you know? But to that end, but again, this is the SEC, right? It just means more. It feels different. Folks, what a roller coaster of a season. Uh, we've talked about the tale of two halves before. I can talk about the tale of this season being in two halves between the first bye and the second bye. Gauntlet, absolute gauntlet, treacherous gauntlet of a schedule, especially the last five, arguably the last four minus that last game with a depleted FSU team. But either way, to finish out the regular season 7-5, to be a winner in a bowl game, finish the season overall consensus 8-5, some great things. To pick up recruiting to where recruiting has dropped back down to in the sense of the standings. Hopefully we're going to finish out there in the top 10. That will be great. We do know that after February 5th, that's the final nail in the coffin as far as where everything stands. But the
Yep.
momentum that we have right now, the atmosphere that we have right now, the hype train, wherever you're sitting on it, is moving through Gainesville. There's plenty of momentum. There's plenty of good things happening. Not only that, we'll see what happens with the NCAA's ruling, but we have funds in NIL. We have funds.
That we
There's a
do.
surplus. We have excessive. We have great capital. We have great margins. So that side, from the UAA's perspective, is very healthy. I don't know that. Okay, let me just put it this way. In retrospect, I don't know how we finish like this with the way the season started, the losses at Miami, Florida West. Yes, I will refer to Texas A&M as Florida West. I will continue to. And Texas. With those three losses and what happened this season and the amount that Billy's rear end was on fire, I really don't know how we are where we are, but that's okay. I'm glad for it. I'm happy for it. And I'm hoping that all these things equal a trending in the right direction to the point where next year we're in that final 12.
Yep.
That would be
Yep.
great. That is what we're hoping for. But either way,
For sure.
uh, phenomenal to see the way that things ended this season in lieu of how it started. That's all I've got to say about that.
No, that's right, man. That's right. And I totally agree. 8-5 record, right? Not the regular season record, the overall record. 7-5 regular season, but still 4 straight wins, regardless of where they came, right? To close out the year. Pretty impressive stuff. To your point, I'm not sure how we could have seen this coming, considering where we were at the beginning of the season, or even after Texas, for that matter. Right? Think about where we were after Texas, 4-5. Didn't even know if Lagway was going to be able to play. Right? The team is reeling. It seems like after that terrible loss to in Austin. Right? Regardless of who played, it was still a really bad loss, and you don't expect them to just bounce back and beat up on LSU, but that's exactly what
No.
they did. That's exactly what
Mhm.
they did. And man, that was fun to watch with you when we were there. That was really a good time.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'll take it. I'll take it. Right for this year, I'll take it. Certainly, we still want more, as you mentioned. But let's look at Lagway now. 6-1 as a starter, 6-0 in games he started and finished. Right, not bad for a true freshman.
Not at all.
Not too shabby, and very excited to see how he can do next year, no matter who is calling plays. Honestly, I don't even care who it is. I do care, but I don't care as terms of watching Lagway because he's just fun to watch. So ultimately, between that and a defense that I'm finally proud to claim, been a minute since I've been proud to claim our defense.
Oh,
About 2018 was the last time I felt proud to claim the defense. Things look really, really good for this team moving forward into the offseason. And as you mentioned, towards 2025, where we are absolutely should be thinking that we have a chance to make a playoff run. I don't think there's anything out of line with thinking that, considering the momentum that we're carrying out of this season, the recruiting, as you mentioned, like there, all signs point to that should be the goal. It doesn't mean we get there, but that should be the goal for next year. Regardless of schedule, regardless of anything else, that should be it. So, yeah, that's it. Love it. So, wrap this thing up here with keep it or pitch it, as I mentioned. So you actually went 2-1, and I went 1-2. So you gained a pick on me, and we finished the season, not
wow.
counting our full season picks because I didn't put those in there because that's kind of having fun at the beginning of the year. But our game picks, right? If you look at all the games, I was 21-18. You were 20-19. One game apart. Well played, sir. Been a fun year.
Wow.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Really good stuff. So just run these down real quick. From last week, Tulane ranks number 2 in the nation on third down conversions at 52.5%. Not today, they didn't. The
Well,
Gators rank number 84 on third down conversions defense at 40.9%. The Gators will hold Tulane under 41% on third downs. We both kept it. We were very right. They converted 23.1% on third down. Not great. And we mentioned that being like one of the big keys to the game based on what we saw from the sims that I ran. So turned out I would say that was pretty spot on. Uh, Okay, next, Florida ranks 78th in the nation in passing offense at 219.1 yards per game. It's a little higher than that now. Um, Tulane ranks number 6 in the nation in passing defense, only allowing 167.9 yards per game. The Gators will have over 245 yards of passing offense. I pitched it. You kept it. Good for you. 305 yards from the kid. I love it. Outstanding stuff. Last but not least, Tulane ranks tied 29th in the nation, allowing 1.31 sacks per game. The Gators are averaging 3.17 sacks per game. And we will have at least 3 sacks compiled in this game. We both kept it. We were both wrong.
yeah.
Unfortunately, as mentioned, only got him down in the backfield once. Just a little bit squirrely on us down that one. But nonetheless, still very solid. Good stuff. Great picks there. Really enjoy doing that. It's definitely something we will continue to do. Have a lot of fun making those picks every week and trying to figure out, what's going to relate
Oh yeah.
to the outcome of the game as well. So, to that end, I think that pretty much brings us to a close here. We want to fill you in on our next pod. So we will next be coming to you on January 7th, and we are going to do a review of the offense and why an OC is so very justified by the numbers. Not my opinion, not my thoughts, not
Ooh.
Randy's opinion, not his thoughts. We are just going to show you the numbers, take a very analytical look at this thing, right? And look at why it is absolutely past time to hire an OC. So we will break that down. It's going to be a shorter pod, probably only about 40, 50 minutes, something in that neighborhood is what we're thinking. Not exactly sure because we haven't done one in that format yet, but we will see and see how it goes from there. But until then, I think we're pretty much wrapped here. I just want to thank everybody for listening, as we always do. Hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. And I'll let it turn it over to you for any closing thoughts there, Randy.
Awesome, my man. Yeah, great episode. Yeah, love doing Keep It or Pitch It. Love the segments. Gator Nation, we're going to do a couple things differently this off season. We're going to try and bring you some smaller pods in between, but at the same time, keep the information as relevant as possible. But either way, thank you to all of you who listen, who downloads, who subscribe, who give us a like, who give us a shout, share us with other Gator fans, Gator Nation out there. We look forward to bringing it to you. Just out of the passion and love that we have for Gator football. To that end, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Yes, happy
Happy
holidays.
Hanukkah,
Well said.
right? Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, holidays, all encompass. And I tell you what, wherever you are, whenever you may be listening, thanks for taking the time, and we will see you around Gator Nation.